Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's Brother ScanNCut tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut out stamped images and also layer them. I want to show you an example of what we'll be making in this tutorial. These are the little lipsticks that we'll be stamping and cutting out. And if you can see there's a little layer behind them which adds extra dimension. I'm going to show you how that was achieved. We're going to be using the Dress to Impress stamp set by Stampin' Up. It's part of our 2020 mini catalog. Now, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple things. So these boxes contain some lipstick pens. They're so cool, and I'm going to show them to you now so that you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing. So here are lipstick pens. And what do I mean lipstick pen? Okay, I have to open one up to show you. So one of my viewers, Adele Y, she saw me do about a month ago, maybe in December, it was a couple months ago. She saw me do, see, I'm just taking off the lipstick cap and writing. Pretty cool, right? Lipstick pens, they look just like lipstick. She saw me do a tutorial where a couple months ago I used the Best Dressed Designer Series paper. I showed how to cut out this pattern paper. And I have a Brother ScanNCut user group on Facebook, and she posted in there a link to these pens that I will also share the link with you. Is that awesome or what? And so I was like, because you can't really give lipstick to people because they have their own preferences and things. So I want to thank Adele for telling me about these lipstick pens. And so whether we cut out pattern paper to do what I'm showing you, or whether we cut out stamped images and color them the way we want them, this project, you can do so many things with these little lipstick pens. So that's what I'm going to be showing you. This is a very special tutorial, so thank you, Adele, for giving me the idea. And then as I was preparing for the tutorial, I noticed something on my YouTube analytics, and I noticed that I had reached over 17,000 subscribers. So thank you all for that. I have 17,000 subscribers. I'm very grateful to all of you. And I'm going to be doing a customer appreciation week to all my customers in the US. And I bought a pack of 24 of these. Everybody that orders before February 14th is going to get something very special from me. I'm not going to tell you what, but I will tell you that it has to do with these lipstick containers or other kinds, and it has to do with some Stampin' Up things that I made and some prizes. I don't want you to order just to get a prize, but if you do order before Valentine's Day, I'll be sharing the love in celebration. All right, so let's just get started right into it. So let's do this. We're going to take the Dress to Impress stamps that we need. Oh, I've already taken it out. I've actually already mounted it. So here we go. We're going to I mounted the lipstick onto clear block C. It fits on clear block C at an angle. So we're just going to stamp it in Memento Black, because I don't want you to miss any steps. So, follow along with whatever stamped images you have, with whatever ScanNCut you have. I happen to be using the CM350 right now, but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what ScanNCut you use. And I'm really appreciative of all my viewers, and so I will say that I know more of you have CM350s than SDX machines, but the same thing applies, and I know that I've taught you enough that you can apply what you learn to whichever model, whether you're watching the exact example or not. So here is the lipstick. Now what you need to do next, and you're familiar with my channel, you know about this. If you're not familiar with my channel, please subscribe, because I always show projects at the end. I'll be showing more projects than just these boxes. Now, if we tried to scan this in and cut it, it will not work. The reason it will not work is the ScanNCut will not recognize this as one single object. It'll start going inside and trying to do some funny things. We need to enclose this. Whenever you have gaps like that, you need to enclose them. So this is my pencil trick. So I'm gonna put this down, and I'm gonna show you the pencil trick. So you just take your pencil, any pencil, number 2 pencil. Everyone asks me all the time, what kind of pencil? Any pencil. No, this is not a special pencil. Just a number 2 pencil. See? So I'm enclosing the gaps on the top of the lipstick. So you do that to all of them. And I'm not even going to cut all these out. Not right now, I'm not. I'm just showing you. So there, we've enclosed them. And there's also sometimes this gets recognized, sometimes it doesn't. It depends. My SDX definitely needs this enclosed, but my CM machine does not. It just depends on the sensitivity of the machine. Okay, so there. Now I have and maybe a little bit extra on the side. Okay, so have them enclosed. So now it'll be recognized as an object. So we're going to scan this in and we're going to cut out the lipstick, a couple of them as an example. And then we'll do the layering. Okay, so we're doing this part now. And I'll show you how I did the circles as well. I'm going to show you how I did that project, basically. But I have lots of other examples as well. So you get your scan and cut. And I'm just going to turn on my scan and cut, bring it closer. I just happen to be using my CM machine right now. It's called the ScanNCut 2. And I just happen to be using that one because it was working for me really well. And I'm happy with it today, and that's what I'm using. And I will be using other machines for other tutorials. I've on my channel there's over 300 scan and cut tutorials. So you can find tutorials on 3 different models of machine and even on stamped images. All right, so when you turn on your machine, you're going to see pattern and scan. You're going to see this with whatever model of machine you have. We're going to click scan, and we're going to directly cut out these lipsticks. So we're going to hit direct cut. Now, this is asking where you want to store the image. I'm going to temporarily store it on my machine. You could store it online because I am connected wirelessly. That's that little symbol there. But I'm just going to store it temporarily on the machine. Always use black and white recognition mode. Always, 99% of the time I should say, because we have clear defined lines. This is the easiest mode to use. You're going to hit start. If you're using an XTX model of machine, at that point you could have selected whether you want to scan a 6x12 or a 12x12 sheet. You have more options with the STX models, but it doesn't mean that it does a better job. It just means you have more options. There's just more features. But you can do with exactly what I'm showing you. It's just the menus might be in a slightly different place. Why am I saying all this? Because sometimes when I show different machines, I get lots of comments about why am I doing this and that. Well, I try to appeal to all of my viewers, all my subscribers. I'm not just going to only show the latest and greatest model. I'm going to show things that all my subscribers can benefit from. So the next thing you want to do is say, okay, there's a lot of little dust and things on my mat. So there's a couple ways to get rid of them. So first of all, let's just try to avoid them in the first place by selecting this area. Okay, and I don't want to cut out all 5 lipsticks, but you see how really well they got outlined. Let's just cut out a few lipsticks, only because of time, so I want to show you. We want to save time here and not make you wait. So that's one way to get rid of the extra bits over here. The other way to get rid of them is to ignore object size. You could have ignored small objects and it would have got rid of small bits. I don't need to because I've already selected just what I want. But I just want to tell you that that's how you would do it. You can ignore object size. This lipstick is probably about 2 inches tall. So if you ignore things, up to 1 inch, you'll be fine. And it'll get rid of all the extra bits. And the third way to get rid of extra bits after you say okay is if there were any extra bits on the screen right now, you could have gone into this editing mode and got rid of them by hitting the trash can. We're not going to trash anything because we actually want to cut those out. So 3 ways to get rid of unwanted bits. Now let me go back. Next thing you want to do is an outline distance. Okay, so this little button is the outline distance. So I'm going to click on that, and I want to put an outline distance of 0.04 on my first layer. Let's grab the project and show you what I mean. So when you cut out the lipstick, the first layer that I'm showing you how to make is this. I'm cutting out a white outline distance. If you don't want an outline distance around your lipstick, then you're going to put 0 there. But my first layer, I have an outline distance. And I'll show you later with one of the heart examples how I didn't include an outline distance. It's just up to you. Let me focus back in. So there. So I have an outline distance of 0.04. So it'll look like that with a little white outline around it. Now let's say okay, and let's say okay. Now you have auto blade technology if you're using an STX machine, but I am not. Right now I'm using the CM350 machine. It doesn't have an auto blade, so I have to set the blade depth. To set the blade depth, I just turn it up to 12 and I go back to the number I want. And the number I want for Whisper White cardstock is a 4. There's the little blade sticking out just a tiny bit. So I want a blade depth of 4. Now for designer series paper, I go down, and for regular cardstock, I go up. But I'm using Whisper White cardstock, which is a little thinner than regular cardstock. I'm gonna hit cut, and we're gonna go ahead and cut out the first layer. It says it will take a minute, but it actually doesn't take quite a minute. You're gonna notice if you have an STX machine, boy, Paper Chef's machine is pretty noisy. And that is true. The CM models are much noisier than the STX models. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just pull up this paper, but I'm not going to remove the mat, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to teach you about this layering trick. So I pull this off. Now, I have it up in the top right. So let's get a piece of designer series paper. Here's some designer series paper. I'm going to use this to make the layer behind the lipstick. Here's what I mean. See how there's a bigger layer around the back? It adds dimension to your stamped image. Here's another example right there. This is the exact paper I used to make that layer. So that's what we're going to do now. That's why I said when you stamp, don't put them too close together. So you need to remove your stamped images using your little spatula. Get those off of the mat first. They came out great, by the way, pretty great. And now we're going to put those over here. Put those off to the side. So that is layer one. And you're going to erase. You would erase the little pencil mark and color them and things. Okay, so now we're going to put this, we're going to take this piece of paper and we're going to put it on the same part of the mat. Okay, and I like the stripes to go up and down because you see how that kind of makes the little layers stick out. Or it's just nice. I like this, instead of this wouldn't make a good enough pattern. I liked it going up and down. So kind of keep in mind where you put the designer series paper. Now, let's explain one more thing. We need to make this bigger. Okay, so these layers, these additional layers, I have my visual examples here. Okay, first layer. Here, I think I need this. Okay. We have, this one is layered up with using dimensionals. I put these foam dimensionals on it. This is one that I just cut and colored, and this is one that has a layer. So we're cutting out a bigger layer. So you can go with 0.08 like I did, or even wider if you want a bigger layer around your stamped images. That's what this tutorial is about, making layered stamped images. So let's go back. I did not remove my mat, crafty friends. I did not change my selection area. I didn't do anything. All I did was replace the paper. I changed the paper. I took out the Whisper White paper and I stuck in designer series paper called Best Dressed Designer Series paper. That's where this one came from. I told you earlier I taught how to cut out this pattern paper. Same process as stamped images. All right, so you got that. I hope we're on the same page where we're at. So now what we're doing is we're going here to this outline distance and we're increasing it. So you change the paper, you increase the outline distance. You could do this all day long. Just say okay. And you could keep on cutting out more layers. Now let's change the blade depth because I'm not using Whisper White cardstock. I'm using the designer series paper. So now I only need a blade depth of 3. Again, I always just get in the habit of turning it up. You don't really need to. You could have just turned it down to 3, but I just like to go up to 12 and back down to the number I would like. So I'm going to have a blade depth of 3. If you're using an XDX model right now, you're just going to change your outline distance to 0.08 and you're going to just hit cut, or you're going to have to hit OK a couple times and cut. And you don't have to set your blade depth because you have auto blade. So now we're cutting out the layers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove the paper. I'm going to go ahead and take the layers off the mat and show you what they look like. So now you understand how we did the first part of the project. Okay, now I'm going to say okay. Now we're going to go back home. Well, actually just keep hitting, just hit the home button. It's easiest. Home, yes, it's okay to delete all patterns. So now we know how to create the lipstick and the layers. Okay, so now we know how to do that part. Now we're going to show you how to create the sentiment layers. So we're just going to show you this part. So let's go to pattern, and we're going to go to circles. We're going to go to pattern and circles, and we're going to go down here to pattern and shapes. Let's go back. Pattern. Let's go back. Pattern, right? Shapes. This is shapes, not circles. We want a circle. Shapes. Now you scroll down to the circle. BA-A046, that's a circle. You're going to make the width and height will stay in proportion. We're going to make a couple circles that are 1.75. That's what I chose to do. You could go bigger, but I chose to go 1.75. Let's put 2 of those on the mat. And I have a piece of, this is just a piece of Whisper White. Let's cut out 2 circles. Let me find a better piece. Let me use this piece here, because this piece here, I cut out some meerkats earlier. It has a little more room on it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and the reason I'm cutting out 2, so again, you could just change your blade depth to 4, but you could go all the way up to 12 and change it to 4, or you could just turn it to 4. I'm cutting out circles out of Whisper White. So that part's a review, the blade depth part. I just like to emphasize that. And go ahead and say cut. Now the reason I'm cutting out 2 is because I want to, in case we mess up our stamping, and also because I'd like to compare a couple colors for you. Okay, so now we have our circles. Now, let's go back. We can make these circles, and so now we have 2 circles, and they are 1.75. And if you have punches, you could use punches as well. That's what we're going to stamp our sentiments onto. You could do one of 2 things. You could just edit these and make them bigger, or you could just start all over and go to home and add 2 more circles. I think it's something else. I'll just show you a new skill. It's just click here to edit. That's the editing mode. Let's trash one of them, and let's edit this one to make it 2-inch circle. The reason it's not resizing, this is a good troubleshooting tip. Whenever you're trying to resize something and it's not working for you, you have to move it away from the edge. It needs room to grow, okay? So objects get resized from the inside out. So whenever you have something on the corner, you can't resize it. There's nowhere for it to grow outwards. So move it over here a little bit, resize it, and it will work that time. See, now it's letting me resize it to 2. Okay, so 2. And let's put 2 of those on the mat, and we'll just put those wherever we want those. Okay, well, I'm going to use designer series paper to cut those out now. And not too close together. There we go. So now we're going to say we have the right blade depth of 3. I should have said 3. Yeah, 3. No, we don't have the right blade depth. We have to change it to 3 because we're using designer series paper. These are just habits to get into. Changing blade depth between every cut if you have a CM model, also known as any CM model, or if you have something called the ScanNCut 2. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and change the blade depth to 3, and we're going to hit cut. All of this information will be in the description of this video. It's going to be a very long description. I'm going to explain how I made my boxes and things like that. I will explain the sizes I used the outline distances. Okay, I'll explain the outline distances in case you missed that, and the sizes of my boxes and everything in the description of this video. So now we have, oops, that circle got cut off a little bit. That's why we do 2. And this one is fine. Okay, so that's good, because that's all I wanted to show you is how I just wanted to take the mystery out of this whole project and how I layer the sentiments, how I layer the lipstick and everything. So now for this tutorial, I'm done with the scan and cut portion, because if I'm going to show you how to make a different kind of box, which I'll show you later, I definitely will do a new tutorial because based on time. But for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a box manually. So using the parts that we just made, and how to make a box using just a paper trimmer and a scoring tool. It's loads of fun to make boxes this way. I'm going to open these up to give you an idea of what we're about to do after I stamp the images. So let's stamp. We want to be as bold as your lipstick. Okay, I'm putting these circles down onto white only so I don't mess up my table. And you're just going to mount. I'm just going to take the lipstick off because I have to wash it. Let's see. And I'm going to use, so because I'm using Best Dressed right now, Best Dressed designer series paper, I'm going to use one of the coordinating colors. Now, as you notice, my stamps, I've used all these sentiments in black and they didn't get stained. But when you use like real red and lovely lipstick on your stamps, photopolymer stamps that is, they do get stained. And you know, many crafters share tips about, oh, use Versamark first. Well, that doesn't work for me. really nothing works. They always get stained, but that's okay because they work just fine. And I don't really care if they get stained. But nonetheless, so I've done some projects in Real Red and I've done some projects in Lovely Lipstick. They look kind of the same almost, right? But this one's a little bit pinker. So I do want to show you that. I'm just going to do one. I'm going to stamp one in Lovely Lipstick first. And unless I mess it up, I can show you the other circle in Real Red. Because when I compare projects later, I definitely want to be able to compare those colors. Okay, good. So that worked. So I did Be As Bold As Your Lipstick and it came out nice. So I'm giving a little wipe off, little wipe with the baby wipe. And you can use stamp cleaner. I have all that stuff too. I use all those things. No haters, please, about the way I clean my stamps. I have to do certain things for videos that I maybe won't do when I'm crafting all day long. I would probably use a Stampin' scrub or some other way to clean stamps. All right, so now we're going to do Real Red. So popping this open, I just want to compare the colors for you and to stamp the sentiments in the circles. So really, I would have really printed out or cut out a whole page of circles, and that's what I did earlier to make my projects. I wouldn't just cut out one circle. I'm tapping on the ink, and I'm just holding it there for a few seconds, and then I'm knocking it off. So there I have my stamped images. So I stamped my circles first. And if I mess them up, I flip them over and I stamp on the back. It's no big deal. And that's how you stamp. Now let me just show you. Let me put this on another background, maybe a piece of black. Yeah, here we go. I need to show you these color differences because it's so cool. And it also kind of gives you an idea of why I do what I do and why stampers do what they do. So you have these two colors that look very similar. And this is Real Red and this is Lovely Lipstick. So I'm doing projects right now with Lovely Lipstick, which is a little bit pinker. And it really does matter how it makes your projects look so cool when they're all coordinated with the right kind of colors. So what I would do is I'd put this, since this has Lovely Lipstick in it, it's I'd use that as my layer, see? Because it has a coordinating color. Now, to contrast with that, let's find one that's here. Then I did some for Valentine's Day, and this has Real Red in it. So I would use that as my layer. And it makes a difference, folks, when you layer things with paper that's coordinated. That's why I love Stampin' Up. It has all these coordinating colors for me that I can choose from, and they match things, and it makes it so fun for me. Okay, and we'll get more into that in a little bit when I show you my projects, but I wanted to put those on a background so you can see them. So that's how I layered those. Let's just put that back on the table. So now I'm going to show you how I made the boxes, and let's open the boxes, and then I'll show you how I made the boxes. Okay, so this is very special, as I said. This week is going to be very special as I get ready for Valentine's Day and share some love with friends and coworkers and customers from the US. Look how fun this box is. So I like making the boxes out of the Designer Series paper, Best Dressed, because it matched, and I really like the way these came out better than the boxes I made using the ScanNCut, but the ScanNCut boxes were much faster to make. So later on, I will show you how I made these using the ScanNCut as well. So this one has a purple, see, it has a purple pen, a purple lipstick pen. So then I kind of did a purple theme, but I just love how you have the double-sided paper. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is cut your Designer Series paper, which I have done. I'm like a cooking show where I have some steps already done for you. Let's find the trimmer though. Just to explain something. So I've already cut the pieces that you would need. And I will post this in the description of the video. All right, so we have, I'm pretty sure these are the pieces I need. Okay, so the first piece you're going to need is going to be, oh good, I didn't do the smidgen off this side yet, so that's okay. So the first piece you're going to need is going to be 6 inches. Let me turn my trimmer over, by 3.5. Okay, so when you trim it, here's the Stampin' trimmer. So there's 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 by 6 inches. So I've already done that. See, there's just a 6-inch line on the Stampin' trimmer. Now when you make the bottom part of your box, it needs to be also almost 3.5 by 6. However, it needs to be a smidgen smaller. And I only made it a smidgen smaller on this side, but not on the other side. So I need to make it a smidgen smaller. So when you make the bottom of your box, a smidgen is just, you take your trimmer and you slice off a tiny little, that's a smidgen. I'll probably try to quantify this into a measurement, so when I write it onto, or else I'll just call it a smidgen. But now you have the bottom of your box is a little bit smaller than the top of your box. So this is gonna be the top of our box. Yeah, let's make the flowers on the outside. That will be on the inside, and then, let's make the yellow on the outside. All right, so now we're gonna, so you use a trimmer, and the measurements will be in the description. Again, 3.5 by 6. And that was just experimentation with me to see how the lipstick fit in. So then you're going to score along the edges at 1 inch. And I've shown how to make boxes on my channel before. And yes, you could have just done the math and gone to the right, but I think it's just easier when I flip the paper around and I just do 1 inch on all sides. And I'll show you that before I'm done here. See, this is called simply scored. Okay, simply scored. There. See how, there we go. See that? I'm just scoring is all I'm doing. 1 inch mark. I'm just flipping the paper around. So I'm scoring 1 inch on all sides. It worked good, and you can fit a couple pens in each of these little boxes. A couple lipstick pens. So then you want to take your little spatula and you want to fold all the edges, and you want to use your little spatula to like help crease down the edges. Yeah? Actually, you can unfold them and crease them. And if you already know this part, don't go off to go do your stamping, because I still have lots of projects to show you of what I created using, I'm going to show you a box I created using my ScanNCut in the template maker. I'm going to show you some Valentine's Day treats that I made using this layering technique. And I even have one little card. All right, so then now you're going to take, I call it like when you're all done, I don't know if you can see these score lines. There you go. It looks like the letter H, right? When you're all done. And so I'm going to take these little creases and I'm going to sort of cut them out. So I'm just getting rid of those I'm making little triangles there all along where I scored. So end up with little triangles. I'll put them there so you can sort of see them. That's about how big they need to be. So I'm just cutting out, or you could go to either side of the score line. I just find that making little triangles is easier. Okay, and then we're going to do what's called mitering the edges. Sorry, the camera gets washed out. That's why I'll do it again, just for reinforcement, because sometimes it gets washed out. So there we have our 4 little nips out of our box, and then we have, now you have to do the mitering the edges. That's when you take a little bit off of each edge. Okay, like that. So now we're just taking little bits off each edge. Okay, so that's what you do to make a box. So that would be the top of the box. This is the bottom of the box. I do it again for reinforcement. I could do this all day long. I like making my own boxes because I think they came out cute and they showcase the paper. You have a lid, and sort of crafty friends can use it to put stuff in, and not other stuff like the lid and the bottom. They can put little crafts in. But I do like how quick they were to make with my ScanNCut using this software called Template Maker, which I've shown, I think, back in December when we made Christmas boxes. But it's time to show Template Maker again because crafty friends said, oh, I'd love to see more about Canvas. Well, Template Maker and Canvas work well together. And after you use the Template Maker, you import it into Canvas, do a little magic to it. Sorry if that's washed out. And then you just, make a box. And it takes like 5 minutes to make a box. And it's already cut and scored for you using the ScanNCut. So we'll be doing that on another tutorial. Something to look forward to. All right, so then you take I guess we'll use tear and tape, whatever you have handy. You could use glue, but I'm just going to use what's called tear and tape because it's easy. You just tear it and tape it. So this is the outside of the box. So you just do that. And I'm only going to do a couple. Well, yeah. For saving time, the time based on the video, I just want to show you how I'd seal the box. Then I'll go show you my other projects. How about that? So you would just do the little tear and tape on the outside flaps, and then you push it in like that. And because you mitered the edges, it lines up really nicely. So how cool is that? We've made boxes, and then that's it. Here, let's show you that. I'll tape it later. I'm not going to make my crafty friends wait while I do things like that on the video, but see, that would be the bottom of the box. I'm sorry, that's the top of the box. This is the bottom of the box. And you put your little lipstick in there. You put your little embellishments on there with dimensionals. The lid fits over the bottom because we made the bottom a smidgen smaller. Even though we scored them both the same way, because we started with a tinier piece of paper, the bottom fits right. Yep, it does. It fits right in there. And then you tie it together and embellish. Okay, so there we go. That's how to do that. So let's get back to this color schemes and things like that. So here are the projects that I have made using this concept from today. Okay, we have Dress to Impress stamp set. We talked about that. I also used a stamp set called Heartfelt, which is not handy, but it is something I showed last week. So I was trying to showcase these cute little lipsticks in another way. So here again, and by the way, you might see that I put some glitter on my lipstick. It's called Wink of Stella. I used some glitter pens. I did that on the boxes as well. So now this is where I get into the color schemes. This particular color scheme of this best dress paper uses what's called Lovely Lipstick, whereas this color scheme of the heart, it's called From My Heart Designer Series paper. And see how I made these cute little treats? They're called tag treats. Super easy to make. And I'll put the description or the measurements in the description. But when I made these, it showcases the lipstick better. So these are more fun to give out on Valentine's Day at work and things because, like, you know, they stand up. Well, they should stand. They did stand up earlier. See? They stand up. They're just cuter. And you can see what's inside them as opposed to you don't know what's inside the box. So I really like, I'm liking these ones. Okay? And so, happy Valentine's Day. This is when the last tutorial, one of the tutorials I showed recently was about how to cut out these hearts that we stamped right down to the fine line using the Brother ScanNCut. And then I did some punches to layer up these hearts. Or you could also use your ScanNCut, but I use punches. See, so it got a really clean cut on these hearts that way. And then this is what we just did in this tutorial. Be as bold as your lipstick, the little pens. And I made it so they don't come out. Maybe I'll have to do a tutorial on this one too, because what I did is I started with a 9x2 piece of paper, and then after I punched my little hole, I shoved this in there before I sealed it, and now it's not coming out. And they stand up really well. As opposed to my coffee treats, which I've been making for years, they don't stand up very well when I do the Starbucks coffee this way. But these pens, because they have a flat bottom, they stand up really well, and they're just so cute to give out for Valentine's Day. Okay, so those are my layered examples. And then I have one that is just using the ScanNCut, but I didn't layer it. So this is a card using, now we're back to, this was Real Red, this was Lovely Lipstick, and now I'm back to using Lovely Lipstick again. See how that coordinates. So this is just a little note card. These are little perfumes bottles that came in that designer series paper, Best Dressed. I'll have links to the materials I used. And let's see, I have one more example. Okay, so I told you I made some boxes with my ScanNCut. So this is my first box I tried, and I didn't like the thumb hole. But what I liked about it is it was also a little big. It was too tall. So then I was able to get, after some experimentation, I was able to get with my ScanNCut a box made of one piece of designer series paper. That's the same size as my box and lid, but I only needed one piece of paper. I didn't need to make a box and lid, and it took me about 2 minutes to make it using the template maker. So that's probably what I'll show next on my channel. Okay, but I'll show you how it fits 2 little lipsticks inside. See, so you have a little one box, fits 2 lipsticks, and use just one piece of paper. Super, super simple. And I've shown how to use that template maker on my channel before. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you, my subscribers. Excuse me for coughing. And I hope to keep on making crafty tutorials for you for years to come. Please write in the comments what you liked about today's tutorial and what else you'd like to see me do, because I like to create my next projects based on viewer feedback. That's all for now. This is the Papered Chef.